Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Thursday, the 19th day of January, 2023. Well, I hope everyone's had a good week so far. I got to handle some things that I was dealing with last week and it came out positively, so that was cool. Um, we were going to go see our grandchildren this weekend, but everyone's sick there again. So it's like, we were there in October and came home sick from being there. So it took us forever to get over that. I just not wanting to do that again. So anyway, soon, hopefully we can go. And it's just that the roads were pretty good over the mountain. And then we heard yesterday that there was going to be a bunch of snow in the pass. So it's like, everything works out for the best. So, especially when it involves driving over a huge mountain to get there. So anyway, it's the way it goes. I miss them terribly, though. I don't like it when I can't see them. I mean, we're not able to go over there all the time anyway, but it still is nice. They're growing so much. The youngest just turned a year old on the 13th, and he's so cute. His hair was getting really long, and they cut it, and he just looks so grown up for a year. Anyway, but that's okay. So I wanted to go ahead and get started with the esoteric forecast for today, and then we'll move on into the reading. Today, avoid impulsive or inappropriate behavior that is sure to be off-putting to others. You have a chance to build anew, especially if you're less transactional and rigid in your expectations. Relationships are built upon respect for individual differences and the natural give and take that results. So let go of the need to control and enjoy time spent with others. Just drop resistance and enjoy, and it'll work out so much better than if you try to control everything. Well, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and take a rune. What I do is if you haven't been here before, welcome. If you have come back, thank you. I hope you'll click subscribe if you haven't and come back. You can check out other things that I do over at my blog, Stepping Aside. The web address is imsteppingaside.com. So I am stepping aside, not I am, but I am. If you forget, click on Show More and scroll down past the description of what this is. And you'll see a bunch of links, and you'll see a link to the website, to the blog. And check that stuff out over there if you want to. That'd be cool. I've been doing that blog now for a little over 10 years, and it's grown and evolved over time. And I'm pretty happy with it. So check it out and see what you think. I'm ambivalent about continuing to write on Medium, but I do occasionally put something up there. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do there. Let's see. My Mastodon and Counter Social and Post News handles and all that are over there, are underneath Show More as well on those links. So you can find me over there too. I'm still on Twitter, but not all the time. I mean, I check it, but I don't know. Anyway, so too many, it's not the same now, and it's not fun anymore. So anyway, the other places though are, and they're fun to be at, so I like that. Anyway, and then the other place I'm at is on Patreon. If you want to follow me there, that's cool. It's just $1 a month to do that. I think that's it. The newsletter, you can sign up for the newsletter. I do that as well. That's on the side panel of the blog. Just scroll down a little bit and you'll see it. You can, and I just put a current newsletter link below that, and so you can just click on that to see what it is you're getting. What roughly it is. So anyway, today's Elder Futhark rune is All Ye's. Now, All Ye's is an interesting rune. it reminds me of raising your hands in supplication to spirit or to the goddess or to the moon or whatever you want to do. It basically, in my opinion, incorporates all four elements with air, fire, and earth up top, and then down below, that point being earth. And basically what it is, it's the bridge between physical and astral realms. It's higher consciousness, it's divinity, it's drawing all that into basically what we do here. In fact, it really could be the symbol that, or maybe I was, or what have you, could be the symbol for the rune for what we do here. The whole idea of as above, so below is, and there are several actual as above, so below runes in the Elder Futhark, but it's literally about acknowledging the fact that we are indeed souls trying to make our way in this physical reality, and how are we supposed to do that when the personality or ego wants to control everything and be very, very reactive. It takes the observational aspect of the soul to as witness. It takes that and sort of turns it on its head. So and it makes it very difficult to acknowledge the fact that we're souls, and it makes it difficult for the soul to be heard, basically. So so it's kind of a cool rune. Any of those as above, so below ones are. But let's see what the let's see if we get a really physical reality geomancy rune as the below side. But the significators, basically, that's what they're there to do. They're there to establish the above and the below side of the energy. So I've thrown down the elemental runes here. We find fire, there's air, there's water, there's earth. Oh, well, okay, so yeah, it's one of the most earthly of of all the runes, of all the geomancy runes. It's called oh wait, that goes here, that goes here. Okay, we're talking about Rubius. Now, I know Rubius in the Harry Potter movies is a jovial guy, but Rubius is, you look at poor, and which is little boy energy, which is unstable and lack of impulse control and all of that. And then Rubius would be the really adult version of it. Little boys, they're just being little boys. But when you get to Rubius, you're talking about the adult level of that. And there, that's a misuse of force. It can mean red hair, it can mean passion, it can mean all of that, but it's out of control stuff. And it's stuff that's done with intention. In a way that is not good. And so, this is really the worst of the ego, really the worst expression of the ego versus the highest expression of the ego, or of spirit with all ye's. And so yeah, I mean, we've got that dichotomy in the runes here as the significators for the reading. So it's going to be interesting to see what the three cards are that we're going to draw here. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle just a little bit more, and I get ready for this by shuffling cards, and then I do my tuning fork that's tuned to the frequency of the third eye. And that sort of helps things to open up for me. And then sometimes I get going to the point where I just sort of step aside and I'm just talking, and I'm not sure really where it's coming from, but it's there anyway. I know it's me, but it's a higher level of me, maybe. I don't know. I had somebody one time in the comments say, it's really great, but can you just slow down a little? It's like, maybe. Maybe not. You never know. So let's go ahead and take three cards. Well, we have one from the Major Arcana, the Hermit. That's at the end here. We'll see if we need to shuffle these around a little bit. Let me move my tea out of the way. But we begin with the Four of Swords and then move to the Three of Pentacles, and then we have the Hermit. So 9, 10, 11, 12, that's 3, and 4 is 7. So yeah, I mean, it's a 7 numerology for the cards collectively. And 7 is about spirituality and observation and letting things come to rest. 7 is like the scales. I've said this a gazillion times. where you're letting the pans settle out basically on the scales. If you draw, little dots, you can put that in that order where you have one at the top, which would be position 4, and then 3 on each side. So there's a balancing effect to number 7. Again, though, it's about observation. And with all ye's, you're talking about soul observation here. And with the Hermit, you are too. The major arcana cards I consider, and so do many other readers, tarot readers, they consider them to be soul archetype cards. And so it's higher self, what is the soul's purpose and form? And then you get and then the minor arcana and the court. Well, the court's kind of an outlier, but at least in my opinion. But the minor arcana cards, the ace through the 10, they're really the details of our lives and how we're going to go about doing things, the things that are going to come up for us on a day-to-day basis. And so trying to master that balance, transmuting ego into spirit. In fact, I wrote a book called Shifting Perception, and that's really what I'm talking about in that book, is to learn to acknowledge the soul aspect, that it's there and that it's your reality, and allowing and then transmuting ego into that, giving it no attention. When you feel the reaction come up, you step back and you look at it from a different perspective, from a higher non-judgmental perspective. And sometimes, you can do it and sometimes you can't. It just depends on the moment and how triggered you become. But it's that being able to be triggered, you forget about, wait a minute, I'm here to observe. I'm here to play out whatever theme that I chose to come in and learn about, and so it's a different focus when you think about it from that standpoint. You would, some in the esoteric community would call that just being the observer of the dream, and not really getting too involved with it, just observing things as they play out. But we can't help ourselves. We act with intention, and then we need the tarot and the runes to figure it all out, right? No, we really don't, but because soul knows all of it anyway. But it's nice to have it. It's nice to have these things as a little bit of a reminder, and as to what it is we ought to be focusing on. So let's start with the 4, though, of swords. Here we have a casket. A stone, one of those stone relief type of caskets that typically you would have the king or the queen, the stone version of them on top. But here we look at this as a knight who's come in and he's lying down and he's letting his mind go to rest. And isn't that what happens, when you die? Your mind goes to rest, basically. But here you see 3 swords pointed downward toward him from spirit into form. Here you have him, you see the 4th one here on the coffin itself. And then it's a church or some kind of a mausoleum of some kind, because you see the stained glass here. 4 is about structure. It's about practicality, pragmaticism. It's about our foundation. It's about home and hearth. But it's also about inertia. And so that brings the idea of coming to a rest and letting everything settle out. Again, on this 7 numerology, it reinforces the 7 numerology of the 3 cards together, in that you need to be able to give yourself a moment before reacting in passion or with a misuse of force, with Rubius, and allow spirit with all ye's to come in and inform your perceptions, inform your choices, your reactions, instead of freaking all out and like we all do, right? From there, when you're able to put your mind to rest, when you're able to understand the bigger picture, then you can get back to work. Here we have the 3 of Pentacles. Pentacles is about our physical reality. Swords is the air element, and it's our mental state, basically. It's also, though, about justice and legal matters and balance and communication and all of that, interactions with others. But here he's plying his craft, basically, or plying his trade. He's standing up on a bench here, trying to do whatever he's doing. He's probably got he's got like a hammer here in his hand and probably a chisel in the other one. You can't see that though, but you see the hammer right there, or whatever that is. And he's probably, chiseling out some kind of relief on the within the stone. So he's a stonemason, and you see these two people that come by to talk with him and admire his work and celebrate what he's doing. Maybe they're considering hiring him. So this could be a very transactional card. So how we transact. Now, this could actually sort of give the pivot point for the reading, because maybe what we're talking about here is letting your mind come to rest and figure out just who are you going to be in all of this. What kind of businessman or businesswoman are you going to be? If it's like that, how are you going to transact with other people? Are you going to bring that information down from spirit and do it from that standpoint? Or are you going to engage in a misuse of force with people? And this card would suggest that there's no misuse of force here. That this is just something where he's just going about his day in the way that he does, and he does a very good job, and some interactions happening here. 3 is also a number of communication. So they're just visiting and either admiring what he's doing, or maybe they want to have him come do something for them over at their place, Then we move on anyway to the hermit, who wants to get above it all, who wants to get out of the noise, out of the chaos, and stand high atop a mountain, a snowy mountain peak. You can see the snow down here. And he's holding a lantern that's lit, the light of a Merkaba, and that's the soul vehicle. So he's very much the embodiment of let me get this right here, of Alyi's. He's very much the embodiment of Alyi's, and where he's going high upon the mountaintop, and he's drawing spirit into his awareness. The hermit's about retreat and withdrawal, and to get a higher perspective. And where does that come from? That comes from the soul. So he's up there acknowledging that, yes, I'm a soul, and I want to use that understanding, that awareness, that light to light the world, to light my world, essentially. It's silent counsel. It's accessing that. It's inner wisdom that comes from the soul, basically, or higher awareness, or higher self, however you want to see it. I mean, you can just because I use these terms, you can use whatever terms you want to use if you're more comfortable with something else. But it's essentially describing the same thing. So it doesn't matter to me. Don't get caught up in the word, the verbiage of it all. It's just that's just how I see it. If you're more comfortable saying, oh, I'm accessing my guides, then fine. If I'm accessing my higher self, that's fine. It's all the same thing. Whether or not there's actual guides, or what you're really accessing is your higher self. You're getting into the soul vibration when you do that, and the astral vibrations, and that are not attached to this physical reality. They're just observing, and in a sense, that's what he's doing as well. But he's trying to do it with the eye towards spirit, and how spirit would see that, or how higher awareness would see the situation. And let's face it, we live in chaotic times. Now, sometimes that might not be so evident in your life as it might be in other times, but you can, even if some of the other stuff, like in the country or the world or what have you, it's not affecting you directly. It's not affecting your immediate home. It's not affecting your day on a daily basis. But it's the energy of it, the fact that it's happening, the fact that it's there, that is disturbing to the physical realm itself, to the energies of the physical realm. And so, you may see this, the same kind of weird energy come up in your daily life. Well, that's where it's from. It's there, and everybody feels it in some way, even if it's just watching the news and saying, oh, wow, look at that. You have an emotional reaction to it. So you see it, you feel something about it. All of that energy is just present with all of us. And if the world wasn't like that, if the world was a calm and loving and productive place, a place that was based on unity and understanding that we're all, from the same creator, that we're all aspects of the creator, so therefore we're one, you can see what the energy would be like. It would be very different than the way it is right now. There's a lot of reaction, a lot of overreaction, a lot of hyperbole, a lot of lying, just out and out lying. And that's the rubious energy coming through. And understanding the difference, stepping back, and what the hermit is doing, he's stepping back away from all of that egoic kinds of stuff, and he's getting higher up, and he's trying to access the inner voice, the inner awareness, the higher awareness of who he really is, so he can process what's going on in the world around him and suggest a better way. That's the whole point of him holding on to that lantern with the lighted Merkaba inside. The fact that it's a Merkaba and not just simply a candle flame, that's very significant, because it's how is it's basically about how the soul focuses into form, and how much control you allow it to have, basically. Maybe you're someone who feels cut off from that. Maybe you're someone who feels you don't access until you're done living here and your body dies and you go on to, quote, heaven, whatever that is, right? Well, I don't agree with that. I feel that this is a constant process. The soul has to be focusing in constantly. It's not a fixed thing. And so it's a constant focusing, it's a constant vortex in, it's a constant presence in our lives. If we would just pay attention to it and realize that it's there. Make that, do that level of awakening, if you will, into who you truly are. And it's something that has nothing to do with this physical world that we have created together here, that surrounds us, that the soul is now playing in, basically. So again, I think the reading is pretty simple. We've got an issue of higher awareness versus the misuse of force that the ego is capable of. And when you have Rubius, if it was just poor or something else, it might be, you've got some impulse control you might want to be aware of and kind of see it from a different perspective and all of that. But this is such a big dichotomy here between Alyiz and Rubius. Rubius indeed is considered an evil presence. Well, a misuse of force is indeed that, isn't it? And so this suggests here that either you're going to encounter that in someone else today, or you might be tempted to engage that way with others. And you need to stop, you need to bring your mind to a rest and say, wait a minute, what's this going to cost me if I do this, if I behave this way? And take your time to go within, get higher up, let higher awareness say, you're best to do nothing if you're going to do this. If you're going to let Rubius if the energy get to that level, then you might as well just take a nap, because, go home. Don't shut yourself up in a room. Don't go that far, because this is really about as far apart as one can get with these two runes. And again, when you do that, excuse me, then you're looking at a whole different experience here with the type of interactions that you're going to have with one another. The Three of Cups is a really interesting three. That's from it's the water element. Excuse me. And it shows three friends, three women, fruits and whatever around them, that's the harvest, it's the abundance. And they're holding their chalices high, and they're dancing together in harmony, in love, in excitement, in community, and that's another factor of three. So again, if you're experiencing something today where you're feeling like you might want to step out, you might want to get mad at somebody, or you might want to tell them off, or give them a piece of your mind. Well, sometimes that goes too far, and you let anger get the better of you, and instead of being able to have a calm, rational discussion, it goes somewhere else. And so I think what this is suggesting is, before you do that, think about the consequences of it. Take a moment, get higher in your awareness on it, and see if there's a better way to convey what it is you need to convey in a way that's going to be positive. And even if you have to say, hey, I don't like what you did. You said something the other day that I was bothered by, or it kind of hurt my feelings, or whatever, or you were a little bit disrespectful to me, or something, because that happens, right? And you can either, if it's something that's continual, or you think it's really serious, yeah, sure, you have to talk about it, but there's got to be a way to do it where you're not getting into this massive argument that doesn't need to take place. To use the situation I was talking about before, not on this one, this reading, but on Monday, the situation I was dealing with, I wasn't happy about. My husband wasn't happy about it. We were dealing with a business that didn't do right by us, and we had to make some changes. We had to convey, hey, you guys, still haven't taken, and honestly, it was, I had to remember that there was another person involved here, my husband. He had a right to say something too, and to have his own beliefs. And so we made some decisions, and so that situation is no longer happening. But instead of, threatening, or instead of yelling, or instead of, I'm going to see a lawyer, or, instead of letting it go the distance like that, I just figured out a way to handle this that I could get it done without having to go there. And I felt better about it, because there was no way that this business was going to understand what I was saying. I mean, maybe on one level they would, but not in terms of changing their behavior, maybe, because this was a repeated thing that they did. So maybe this will cause them to wake up. I don't know. But they're just not going to wake up with me there. That's all. And that's just a choice we made. And I think that it was, the way we handled it was in a way that we could express the concern without, getting angry and yelling and screaming and I don't know. To me, it's a waste of energy to do that. And I don't know. It was just the way it flowed, and I felt pretty good about it. And especially when it was all said and done. And so again, it took time though to say, okay, I'm not going to react this way. I'm going to keep my emotions under control, and I'm going to do things in a way that focuses on getting the solution happening, and not getting things fixed. And then from there, we'll make our final decision after all is said and done. And that's what we did. And honestly, it felt a whole lot better than calling them up and yelling at them. I don't think that they listen when you yell. So people turn their ears up and say, I don't want to be yelled at. Even if they're totally to blame, they don't want to be yelled at. And it's not going to get you where you need to go anyway. So I don't know. I think that that's what this is really talking about. Just to give yourself time to think about things, get higher up, retreat, take a walk in nature, do something, that gets your mind out of the anger, out of the fear, out of the upset, whatever it is. I'm not saying it's one or the other, just whatever's going on, and leave yourself room to move on. Or if you aren't leaving the situation permanently, like we did, then maybe it opens the door for further positive interaction once it all gets settled out. You're still there. You still want to have a positive relationship with that person. Maybe it's a work situation, so you're not thinking about getting another job out of it. You're just you still are going to work there with these people or a person or what have you, and you want the door open for that. And so I think that's another way to look at the Three of Pentacles here, leaving the door open for future transaction, future interactions that are positive and helpful instead of whatever it is that you're dealing with. Even if it's just you're having a difficulty with a friend and you just need a different approach to how you're dealing with it, letting higher awareness govern that, guide you. And again, if you are into the idea of guides, and you meditate and you go within and you access guides, that's really what you're doing. You're getting that other perspective that is not as earthbound as the ego would want you to be. And so and again, today's esoteric forecast starts out with avoid impulsive or inappropriate behavior that's sure to be off-putting to others. And again, not being so rigid in your expectations, that's very egoic. Respecting individual differences and the natural give and take of things, but so trying to control the outcome is not really the purpose here. And in doing so, it might make the other person a little more apt to want to give a little and admit that, yeah, I misspoke. I said things I shouldn't have, and I put that badly, and I can see why you're upset. See, it can make the conversation a little bit easier to have. So, but again, you may find that this resonates for you in a different way about a different situation in your life than what I'm talking about, and that's good too. So, anyway, not too bad for a Thursday. Not too bad for some little things to think about going into the weekend, and so cool. So, thanks for watching. And, if you are plagued by weather issues, as things are still going, I think they're still having weather, that atmospheric river effect down there in California. We're seeing different things here, but not nearly, not even remotely extreme, not even really bad. Just things we have to be aware of. Because I think we're getting like the edge of it up here where we are. But if you're having issues that way, take care of yourself, take care of one another, and make sure you check in on neighbors, especially people that are older, who may not have family around them. Make sure you do that if you know people like that. If you have neighbors that are, again, living alone and they're older, maybe they just need a little, hi, how you doing? Maybe they don't need anything, but just to see somebody might be cool. Do it safely. COVID is everywhere. That new variant that's out is pretty contagious, I guess. And so, we're still, of course, wearing masks when we go to the grocery store, we go out and about, we're still wearing masks, even though we've been vaccinated every which way from Sunday. I don't care. I don't want to get this. My youngest son and his wife and his kids, they just had it. And all this time they didn't, and they just did. And they were pretty sick. They've been, although my son seems to think the flu that he had just the week before, he seems to think that was worse for him anyway. But it's hard to say how everyone else felt about it. But and I guess they wouldn't, because he was so healthy or something, they wouldn't give him Paxlovid. Although my daughter-in-law got it because she has health issues, but so they gave it to her. And then the kids are too small for it. So, but they all had it and it wasn't good. So that's, just be careful. And you don't know, what this does to the body. We know that it does bad things to the body, but it doesn't happen to everybody. So I'm not sure what the difference is for one person or another, other than, because I don't think it's people that have major health issues that this is happening. This whole long COVID stuff is happening to. So just be safe, be careful, and try to stay as well as you can. These are difficult times with this, and nobody's on the same, too many people are not on the same page with one another, and that's a risk that causes this to hang on. Had we all worn masks and done what we were supposed to do in the beginning, and just not relied on that ridiculous social distancing nonsense, well, we might be at a very different place than we are now. But we didn't. That didn't happen. A different thing happened. And now we're having to contend with the effects of that. And so hopefully we learned something from it. But I'm not so sure that some people, that everyone did. I don't, otherwise you'd see everybody in masks right now during this newer variant that's out. So again, just think about this and try to err on the side of health instead of on personal freedom. Because in the end, what good is it if this affects you for the rest of your life? There are people that can't work. They're too ill. And there's nothing that they've found yet to deal with these symptoms, assuming they even can. And so it's we're not at the end of the tunnel here, and we're not at the end of the information that we're going to learn about it. And fortunately, though, science and doctors and whatnot are starting to understand, hey, COVID might be over in this person, but they're having weirdo symptoms that other people that have had COVID are having, and so we need to look at that, and they are. So lots more research is being done about this, and papers are being written and all of that, and that's good so that we can understand a little more about what this does to the body. It's not like, the flu or a cold or anything else. It's different. And so just stay safe and protect yourself and protect others in the process. We don't know what we don't know yet. And I just think it's unfortunate that things went the direction that they did. I think like I say, I think we'd all be in a different place right now. And maybe I wouldn't have to wear a mask to the grocery store, but I feel that I do, and I will, and it's fine. I'm not going to argue about it. And I'm not going to. Nobody ever says anything to us about it. There's other people in masks too. Some of the people who work there are wearing them too. So I think people have, at least where we live, they've just all figured, well, it's individual choice, and people are going to do whatever they want to do, including wearing masks. And we've never had anybody get in our face about it or say, why are you doing that, or anything else. Nobody says a word. We just all go on about our lives, and I think that's the way it should be. So anyway, I just wish everybody would be in masks, that's all. But I'm not going to say anything to them because it's not my place, and it's their choice. And, you just deal with it as you do. So anyway, thanks for watching, and have a good weekend, and take care of each other, and be good to yourself in the process. And, come back again on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.